You don't need 100 new strategies. You don't need a perfect morning routine, a productivity app, or another motivational quote. You need one thing, a shift in how you respond to the discomfort you keep avoiding, because that's where everything you want is hiding. See, change doesn't start when you make a vision board or write down goals. It starts in the small, boring moments you normally ignore. That exact second when your mind says, "not today," and you quietly agree with it, that little moment is the gatekeeper. And most people walk past it every single day. They keep searching for hacks, clarity, or signs from the universe. But deep down, they already know what needs to be done. You know what I'm talking about. That conversation you've been putting off. That habit you keep saying you'll fix next week. That project you abandoned the moment it got hard. These aren't random delays. They're part of a silent pattern that runs your life on autopilot. And the worst part is, the longer you delay that one move, the more you reinforce the idea that you're not ready, or not enough, or you'll figure it out later. But here's the truth. No one says out loud, life doesn't respond to what you think. It responds to what you do. That doesn't mean hustle harder or become some robotic achiever. It means being brave enough to move when it's inconvenient, to speak when it's uncomfortable, to act even when your body says freeze. That's the moment your life starts bending in a new direction. And the irony is, most people don't even realize that everything they want, clarity, purpose, confidence, comes after that first hard step, not before. That first move rewires something. And once it's done, you start to see the illusion you've been living in. You start to realize you didn't need more time. You needed more honesty. You're not stuck. You're just delaying the one decision that would free you. Most people live their entire lives outsourcing their power. They wait for the right mood, the perfect timing, someone else's permission, like they need the universe to tap them on the shoulder and whisper, "Okay, now you're allowed to change." But here's the harsh truth. That whisper never comes, because it was never the universe's job. It was always yours. There's something wild that happens when you finally stop negotiating with your excuses. You stop making them feel smart. You stop dressing them up with reasons. And suddenly, without warning, your life starts to accelerate. Not because everything magically gets easier, but because you stop being the one slowing it down. And the resistance you feel when taking action, that's not a sign to stop. That's the exact weight you're supposed to push through. It's like emotional gravity, and the more you train yourself to move through it, the stronger you get. Think about it. When you start doing the thing you've avoided for weeks, you feel lighter. Not because the task changed, but because you did. You leaned into discomfort instead of flinching from it. You proved to yourself in real time that you're not controlled by old stories or worn-out fears. You're no longer someone who wants to change. You're someone who actually does. And the world reacts differently to people like that. It's subtle at first. You'll notice people listen to you more. You'll stop over-explaining yourself. Your boundaries will sharpen. Your attention will stop leaking into things that don't matter. You'll say no without guilt, and yes without hesitation. Not because you're faking confidence, but because you finally earned the right to trust yourself. That's what people don't talk about enough. Self-trust doesn't come from positive thinking. It comes from action. From seeing yourself show up when you'd usually check out. From doing the thing even when it's awkward. Even when your voice shakes. Even when no one's watching. Change becomes your new baseline. And that one choice you were afraid to make, that conversation, that decision, that shift you kept delaying, once you've done it, it doesn't just free up your energy. It rebuilds your identity. You're no longer the person who waits. You're the one who moves. When something isn't working in your life, your first instinct is probably to analyze it. You sit there, lost in your head, spinning the same thoughts around like a hamster on a wheel, thinking maybe if you understand the problem just a little more, you'll finally fix it. But clarity doesn't come from thinking in circles. It comes from movement. You don't think your way into change. You move your way into it. That means doing the uncomfortable thing, even when it makes zero sense in the moment. Taking the call, starting the project, showing up to the gym, cleaning your space, saying what needs to be said. Not because it's glamorous, but because it's the next thing. That's where momentum begins. In the next small step that disrupts the loop you're stuck in. And here's the beautiful irony. Your life doesn't improve from one huge leap. It improves from hundreds of tiny, seemingly insignificant shifts You stop snoozing your alarm, and suddenly your mornings don't feel like a panic. You actually drink water before coffee, and somehow your anxiety dips. You check in with yourself for 5 quiet minutes and realize you've been gaslighting your own burnout. Most of us are waiting for a big moment to arrive and change everything. But those big moments are built quietly, behind the scenes, by all the small decisions you keep putting off. The scary part is realizing no one's coming to rescue you. But the empowering part, no one needs to. You're not missing some secret formula. You don't need a guru. You just need to interrupt your own pattern long enough to realize it was never you that was broken. It was the habit of hesitation that kept you stuck. And when you start doing things before you feel ready, everything shifts. You feel less drained. Not because your schedule got easier, but because your decisions got clearer. You're no longer wasting energy trying to avoid discomfort. You face it, you move through it, and you become the type of person who doesn't overthink every step. You just take it. That version of you already exists. You've seen glimpses. You felt moments of clarity where you knew exactly what you needed to do. The only difference is whether or not you act on it, because nothing changes until you do. One of the strangest things about transformation is how ordinary it feels when it actually happens. You always expect fireworks, a surge of motivation, some cinematic montage of your life turning around. But more often, it feels like boredom, like brushing your teeth without skipping, like saying no to something small that you usually say yes to without thinking, like walking past your phone and not picking it up. Change happens quietly, but that's why it's so hard, because there's no immediate applause. No gold star. No one notices that you didn't spiral today. No one claps because you stopped mid-thought and said, "Wait, I don't have to believe this story." It's not dramatic. It's subtle. It's a moment of awareness, followed by a different choice. And that's where most people fall off. They don't feel progress, so they assume there is none. But that's just old conditioning speaking. The mind is addicted to feedback loops. It wants visible proof now. But the truth is, real power comes from doing the thing without the rush, without the dopamine, without the drama. Because the moment you start doing the right thing, even when it's quiet, even when no one's watching, is the moment you become unstoppable. You stop being someone who's trying to change, and you start becoming someone who simply lives differently. No motivation needed, no self-help binge, just small deliberate acts of alignment that slowly rewire your identity from the inside out. And the beauty of this? You don't need to wait. You don't need to figure everything out. You don't even need to feel certain. You just need to decide in this moment that the loop ends here. No more starting over every Monday. No more waiting for permission. No more outsourcing your energy to moods or motivation or someone else's approval. Your new life begins the second you realize you're already enough. Now it's just about acting like it. The truth is, most people don't actually want change. They want relief. There's a difference. Relief means, I want this uncomfortable feeling to go away. Change means, I'm willing to become someone who handles things differently. Relief is reactive. Change is intentional. And this is where things get uncomfortable, because intentional change will ask you to let go of everything that's comfortable but unhelpful. Your excuses, your narratives, that little story in your head that says, "That's just the way I am." We repeat that line like it's some sacred truth, but it's not. It's a defense mechanism, a way of avoiding the deeper work of asking, who do I actually want to be? Not in theory, not when life is perfect, but now, in the messy moments, in traffic, at 2 a.m., when the old habits whisper again, when you're tired, triggered, or about to react on autopilot. Change lives in those moments, because those are the moments where your patterns surface, not the ones you talk about, no, the ones you live through. Your daily rituals, how you handle silence, what you reach for when you're overwhelmed. And here's the thing no one talks about. You don't fix your life by fixing your entire life. You fix your life by showing up differently in one moment, then doing it again. That's how you regain control, by choosing presence over panic, stillness over scrolling, responding instead of reacting. And every time you do, something small shifts. Something quiet begins to rebuild inside you. A kind of inner strength that doesn't need to announce itself. It just moves differently. You begin to carry yourself with calm, not because life got easier, but because you got clear. And when that clarity kicks in, when you no longer waste your energy defending your limitations, you start to feel free in a way that no shortcut, no trick, and no quick fix ever gave you. That's not motivation, that's transformation. And it starts the second you stop negotiating with the version of you that's addicted to comfort. There's something powerful about recognizing that no one's coming to save you. Not your future self, not some perfect timing, not even the next video you watch, hoping for another mindset shift. And once you see that, it's not sad, it's freeing. Because it means you're the one holding the pen now. You're not a side character waiting to be rescued. You're the author, and you get to decide how the next chapter goes. But let's be honest, rewrites are hard, especially when you've spent years rehearsing the same internal script. That script says things like, I'll start once I feel ready. I just need a little more time. Maybe things will work themselves out. But here's the raw truth. Waiting is a drug. It feels safe. It gives you the illusion of progress. But it's just the brain's way of stalling, protecting you from discomfort, and meanwhile, the clock keeps ticking. Not because you're lazy or broken, but because you're afraid of being seen starting from zero. And yet, that's the only place real change ever starts from. Zero. Not from already being strong, or confident, or certain, but from choosing to move while you're still unsure. The people you look up to, they didn't get where they are because they had some magical mindset or secret strategy. They just got sick of waiting for things to be different. They stopped asking for clarity and started choosing commitment. Because commitment is the thing that rewires you. It's the thing that says, I'm tired of rehearsing a version of me I've outgrown. It's not about becoming a new person. It's about finally acting like the version of you that's been buried under fear, noise, and habit. When you commit, really commit, your body starts to catch up. Your identity shifts. You start doing things that used to intimidate you. Not because they stopped being scary, but because your standards changed. Your identity grew into someone who doesn't flinch at the storm. You begin to realize, I don't need to feel like doing it. I just need to do it until it feels natural. That's what self-respect looks like. It's not loud. It's not flashy. It's quiet and consistent. It's keeping the promise you made to yourself long after the mood you made it in has disappeared. And suddenly, your whole world starts responding to the new energy you're putting out. Most people spend their lives circling the same problems because they keep waiting to feel different before they act different. But here's the truth. Clarity doesn't come before action. It comes from action. You don't build confidence by thinking more. You build it by doing when your hands are shaking and your mind is full of doubt. You don't reclaim your life in one huge leap. You do it in tiny, boring, quiet decisions when no one's watching. It starts the moment you stop giving energy to things that drain you. The moment you stop negotiating with your excuses. The moment you realize no external force is going to give you permission to become who you're meant to be. You give that to yourself. And if you felt something shift during this video, don't let it fade. Hold it. Use it. Make a decision tonight, not next week. Comment below and tell me what you're letting go of. What you're done tolerating. What version of yourself you're finally ready to outgrow. And if you want more of this, more clarity, more inner work, more reminders of who you actually are beneath the noise, hit that subscribe button. This isn't surface level motivation. This is a journey back to your real self. Because nothing changes until you do. Let's make that change real, starting now.